Hello and welcome to the 7th episode of our Golf project. If you have watched the 5th episode, then you have seen that we could already add 60 horsepower by performing 2 simple modifications, which are completely reversible and everyone can do at home in his driveway with simple tools. What we do today, it's a bit more elaborate. As you can see in the background, we have already the front removed, the original radiator, intake and intercooler. So now the car is ready to get even more horsepower. Let's get to work. The first 2 parts that we're going to upgrade in our quest for more power is the intercooler and the intake. We have decided to go for the H and F series from HG Motorsport for a couple of reasons. The first reason is the quality of these parts is very high and they're very well made. The second reason is they are plug and play, you don't have to do modifications on your car and you can go back to stock if you want to. The third reason is, very important, the parts come with TOV papers so you can run them legally in Germany. Some of you have asked why we choose high quality parts which are more expensive. We know that there are cheaper alternatives, but most of them come without any documents, so we are not able to run the car legal in Germany. Since we run our cars also in tourist sessions where they have to be road legal, it's very important to have documents for everything. But now, let's grab this part and install it in the car. So the engine is running again. We just finished the installation of the intercooler and the intake that you have seen already before. It took us actually less than 60 minutes. This is the beauty of using high quality parts. They bolt together like they should and the installation procedure is straightforward. While we had the car on the lift, we also installed a downpipe. All these parts, they don't make a lot of power by themselves. They are more supporting parts. They allow us to run more ignition and more boost. But for this, we need a custom ECU tune. And to get this, we have to go to a very special place. Let's get the car back on the road and go there.
Hey, what's up? My name is Franz Simon and we are in wonderful Germany and the weather is nice and the guys brought us some sun and we do have a VW Golf GTI Mark 7 behind us from RSR Nürburgring, and since the guys obviously track their cars, they want to do more power. They did a couple of hardware mods on the car already, which is a downpipe, it's an intercooler and air intake. It does have a muffler as well, but we all know mufflers don't do much of power, it's mostly for sound. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a custom tune on the dyno, because that's what I do. These guys race, I tune cars. So I make them as fast enough so they can race them. We're going to do a custom stage 2 tune on it, together with the DSG tune. In my opinion, the cars always run better combined with the DSG tune and the ECU tune, as well as we do have some torque limitations in the DSG as well, and we can do faster shifting times, even faster. And what the most people don't know, if we tune the DSG, we can run a higher RPM as well. So especially on the track, if you go on the Nordschleife, sometimes you go on tracks or you go on sections of the track where you maybe you need to shift, but you would love to keep the car longer in gear, and we're trying to raise the RPM a little bit, so the guys have a little bit of better package for the Nordschleife. So that's what I'm going to do. I hope you enjoy it, and we do lots of different cars here over here, lots of Golfs as well, but a lot of AMGs, Porsche, a lot of Porsches, BMWs, Mercedes, Audis, Audi RSs, a lot of stuff. But today the star of the show isn't me, for a change, it's the car. So enjoy.
Having done some upgrades to the car like intercooler, downpipe and intake, of course we have to do a new base run. Franz just clocked the car with 270 horsepower. You may remember in the first episode we had the car already on the dyno and it made around 240 horsepower completely stock. This 30 horsepower just coming by the freshly installed parts. But today total numbers doesn't matter this much. More important, we will get a custom ECU tune to fit the new installed parts to the car. And also it will get a DSG tune which will make the car much more drivable and will improve it a lot when you drive it on a Nürburgring.
All right, peeps, so we are done, or I'm done with my job, and I think we can be pretty proud of the result. There's a difference when tuning a street car and tuning a track car. When we tune a street car, we want to achieve the maximum power, want to achieve the maximum torque. Well, we want to achieve the maximum of everything, but still try not to blow the engine. With the track car, it's a little bit different, and especially with this one, because I actually forgot to mention this before. It's a front-wheel drive car and it has an open diff, so no limited slip differential. If you guys track your cars often, you'll know that limited slip differential is actually almost essential on the track. And I think this is going to be upgraded too. Till then, what I did is I limited the torque. If we can run around 500 Newton meters of torque in this car with the ECU tune in combination with the DSG map. But 500 Newton meters of torque at 2,200 RPM in this car, coming out of a corner, it's gonna it's gonna be dust, it's gonna be smoke, it's gonna just kill your tires, and you're actually gonna be a little bit slower than you will be probably now. So what we did is we limited the torque, but we have tried to keep the torque all the way up to the entire RPM range. We wanted to make a map where from like 5,500 RPM you have a massive amount of torque compared to before and a massive amount of power. Obviously the speed limiter is removed. Before we had the 250 kilometers an hour speed limiter, so there's no speed limiter now, and we have done our data logs. We're running only 1.2 bar boost in this car right now with, well, stock ignition timing, if you want to know it exactly. We could run around 1.4 bar, and we could run more aggressive ignition timing on 102 octane, so we would run around 30 horsepower more than we're doing now. And of course we could open up the torque to 500 Newton meters, and then this would be a rocket on the street, but it's probably still slower on the track. So I'm gonna explain you a little bit about the difference from the before and after dyno in a second on the dyno sheet. Right, okay, so what I did here is I put the baseline dyno with all the mods, but stock tune, underneath the latest dyno we did with my tune and all the mods. So what you can see is all the thick lines. So this is the thick line, the thick orange line is torque, the thick red line is engine horsepower, and the thick blue line is wheel horsepower. And what we see, obviously our result, 332.5 horsepower. Actually the car made 337, but since our environmental conditions right now at this time of the year are pretty good, the dyno corrected it down, and we did 414.6 Newton meters of torque, so around 420 Newton meters of torque, you can say. What you can see is that right from 2000 RPM, we have more torque than before, steady, and we keep it all the way to red line. Now here, since we're measuring in 5th gear, many people measure in 4th gear, but usually 5th gear is the one that's closest to the 1-to-1 ratio. If you do 4th gear, the results could be a little bit off, so always measure in 5th gear. The problem is with the 250 limiter, the car went into the 250 speed limiter at around 6000 RPM. With that being said, it's not a big problem because, as you can see, the torque as well as the power was already on its way down. So the car would have not made more horsepower and it would have not made any more torque than it did while revving it only until 6000 RPM. Now, the interesting thing comes now. If you go and take the cursor and let's say we place it at whatever, down here, let's say 2400 RPM. At 2400 RPM, we already have 40 Newton meters more torque than we had before, and we have a good around 15, 20 horsepower more. But this is not where we are driving on the racetrack. If I would have tuned this car for the street, now we would have had 40, 50 horsepower more already, and almost 100 Newton meter more. But what we did is here, that's where it starts to be important. At around 5800 RPM, we have 50 horsepower more, and 50 to 60 Newton meters more torque. Obviously, I opened the RPM so we're revving the car right now until 6,800. On the dyno it shows 6,745, so it's obviously a little bit different from what the gauge shows or what has been mapped. 6,800 is now the rev limiter. We're going to take the car on a test drive. The conditions are good, but on the street you still have different conditions. And especially when we map cars for the racetrack, I always data log them on the dyno and on the street. I think this is a good example of what you can do with a proper map on a car. You can play with your parameters, you can limit torque, you have the torque where you want it to be. We are only running 1.2 bar boost, whereas we can easily run 1.4, 1.45 bar boost, but it's a car that's going to get a lot of full throttle and it's made for the racetrack, so we were not looking for peak power, but we were looking for drivability and steady power and a steady torque delivery. If you liked it, leave a like. Leave a like in my page as well, Simon Motorsport, and I think we're going to see each other maybe a little bit more often, and yeah, that's it from me. Peace.